How we doing today, neighbors? Ian with eTrailer here, and today we're going to install the CURT Class 3 2-inch by 2-inch hitch on our 2024 Ford Bronco. Let's go over a few features of that hitch and then take care of the install. Now, the Ford Bronco is a vehicle that we're seeing more often and a very heavily used SUV. They are a wonderful vehicle, but in the case of towing or accessories, sometimes you're not going to have that hitch, and this CURT option here is going to be a great option for that. It is a little recessed towards the vehicle under our spare tire here, so that's worth mentioning. If you are looking for something that sticks out a little bit further, I would suggest the Blue Ox variant of the hitch for this. It's going to have a longer shank that's going to take us further away from that if you have folding accessories. Now, while we're talking about adding a hitch to this to be able to tow, this particular hitch is going to be rated at 3,500 pounds and then have that tongue weight, so the downward pressure on the hitch, of 350 pounds. Something to keep in mind if you've got a heavier bike rack that you're going to be putting on here, or some type of accessory that's going to have a large load on it. Of course, do double check your vehicle specifications as far as what that towing and tongue weight capacity is, to make sure it's not a lower number, and if it is, go with that lower number. Now, I'm going to give you a couple measurements to help give an idea of clearance, not only from the rear of the vehicle out here to the end of our spare tire, but also ground clearance. I wanted to mention this is the Outer Banks edition of this particular Bronco, so with other trim packages you may find that there is a different wheel and tire size, so the measurement may not be the exact same as far as ground clearance. So worth mentioning for sure. And getting into our measurements, we do have from the center of the hitch pin hole out to the edge of our spare tire here, looking at 11 inches. So again, pretty recessed. You may want an extension if you've got a folding accessory that you want to have up when you're not driving around with it in use. And from the ground to the inside of our receiver tube here, we are at 18 3/4 inches. So again, that may change depending on what trim package you have, but for the Outer Banks, from the ground to the inside of that tube is that 18 3/4 inches. Now, this is going to feature a 5/8 inch pin hole. The pin is not included with this hitch, so make sure you take a look at our locking options if you wanted to keep your accessory or trailer locked to the back of the vehicle here. And then it does feature these larger circle style safety chain loops, which are going to work fine with your S-spiner style or clevis style safety chain retainers, allowing you to still use whatever you've got on your trailer. Now, before we get into the installation, I kind of wanted to touch base on it because reading through the instructions that we received with our hitch today, it kind of has it in a backwards order of warning you about the factory wiring bracket that's going to be over that and how to remove that. It doesn't necessarily give good guidance on how to get these extra long bolts that hold that in place out of the way. So I'm going to show you a couple tips on each end of the bumper just to be able to swing that out of the way to get these removed. Now, if you do happen to watch the video and think to yourself, I don't want to try to tackle this, please do check out that dealer locator on our website. We'd be happy to find you a trained professional that can help get this hitch installed for you. But for all those DIYers, let's go ahead and hop into it and I'll get you taken care of. Now, with the 2024s, we are seeing a commonality of there already being a 7-pole US car connector here, and then it does have this bracket that lives over that to protect it. And we're going to be removing this bracket first, because 2 of the bolt holes we're going to be using for the hitch are covered by that. Now, these bolts do extend extremely far out towards the front of the vehicle, and trying to back those away from our hitch, they're going to make contact before we can pull them all the way out. So we are going to have to at least get our bumper loose to where we can get this bracket out of the way. Now, we're going to have a total of 4 bolts we're going to be removing, and behind each rear wheel at the bumper, we're going to start with the 3 here. There are 2 15 millimeters and 1 13 millimeter. And then we'll come to the inside of the frame rail to access 1 15mm bolt up here above that frame rail. It's going to be kind of difficult. I would suggest an open-end box style wrench to get in there, and you'll just have to get that one loose. We're not going to remove that one completely, but we'll continue to just back it out as we need to get this bracket out of the way. And once we've got the 3 on each outside end removed and those 2 in the middle loose, we'll be able to push this up out of the way to access these 2 bolts that are holding the bracket on. And with an 18mm wrench, we'll get both of those removed. Before you get too far on that second bolt, make sure you come and you push out the little Christmas tree poppet that is holding our plug in. That can just be pushed back through the bracket. Now make sure you support that bracket, because as soon as this bolt's loose, we are going to have that to where it could fall. With that bracket out of the way, we're just about ready to put our hitch into place, but I wanted to talk about the plug for the wiring that we've got back here. Now would be the best time if you're going to be hooking up your wiring to go ahead and grab the option where you can just plug this directly into that. You will have to have the vehicle flashed in order for this to work, so just keep that in mind if you're putting wiring up. And to mount our hitch, we are just going to slide it over this rail and hold it up into place. But taking a look at the hardware we're given, we've got our longer bolt, and then we're going to throw on a washer. That's going to feed back through the back side of our frame towards the rear of the vehicle through the hitch. So lift that into place, lining up our holes here, and then we'll come through that back side. To the rear of the vehicle, and start that serrated nut with the serrations going towards the hitch. So there are slotted holes in the hitch, and you may find that once you've got the 2 outside ones in place that your center ones don't line up, and it's pretty tight against the frame here on the passenger side, so you may have to just tap that to one side or the other just to get those holes in the center to line up. Now we'll come back with a 3/4 wrench on each side and just get them snug. Now we'll come back with a torque wrench and get these torqued to the specification shown in that instruction manual. Of course, do double check it for that torque specification. And if you do not have a torque wrench, you can either pick one up along with your order from us or head down to that local parts store and they'll rent one out for you. Now, if you're not doing wiring, you can take this plug and push it up into the pocket next to the hitch here. There's another set of wiring for all these sensors that it can be zip tied to keep it secure and safe for when you do choose to add wiring to your vehicle. Otherwise, we just need to add the hardware we took at each end of the bumper off back in, tighten up the ones at the frame rail, and then that's going to complete our install and look at of the CURT 2-inch by 2-inch hitch receiver on our 2024 Ford Bronco. My name's Ian with eTrailer, and I appreciate you watching.